Hi, I'm Jacqui from Jacqui Brown Creative. In this video today I'm going to show you how I drew the skin and the beard in this portrait. I'll also show you how I used a nail art dotting tool in a simple, easy method to create the texture in the beard. If you'd like to see how I drew the clothing, I did that in a previous video. I will leave that in a link just up here now. The reference photo I used for this piece was from the amazing Keith Lack at Optic Nerve 2015 on Instagram. If you would like to see his black and white photography, I will leave a link in the description box below. I'm here every Thursday with new content. If you like what you see, please do leave me a thumbs up. If you're new around here, please subscribe. For now though, it's on with the video. So I'm starting on the eye using a HB pencil there, just mapping out where my lights and darks are on the eye, and then going over that with a 4B technical pencil and a 2B technical pencil to get in the darker lines and the shading. I'm also blending out with a makeup brush and with a blending stump to get rid of any harsh lines. I want some texture in this. He's an older man, he's a homeless guy, and his skin is really weathered and rugged, and so we want to show that in this portrait. So just building up the wrinkles. I start with a darker line through where the wrinkle is, and then I blend it right out into the lighter areas where the light's hitting. You really need to make sure that you blend out those creases in any wrinkles. I've just used an embossing tool to add some highlights to the eyebrows in the direction of where the white hairs are, so that I can now go over and build those up with my pencils, starting from light to dark in the directions of the hair before I'm going back down to the eyelid to continue working on the shadows and adding in some texture to that skin. Few of the forehead wrinkles are going in now, and then I'm using brushes with graphite powder to add in my roughly where my shadows are to form the face, so I can see where it all should be sitting as a rough reference for me. And then working on the forehead again, building up the wrinkles, going in with my mechanical pencils in the 2B and the 4B, getting those darks in. I will come back later to darken them up again, and then blending out, because highlights are and shadows in wrinkles, the depth of the wrinkle, the darker the line you're drawing in the wrinkle, the deeper the wrinkle's going to look. And then you really need to make sure you blend out from that to make it look realistic. And remember, there are highlights to wrinkles as well, so I'm using a Tombow mono eraser to lift out some highlights just underneath most of those wrinkles. As you see, just deepening up now. I'll start light because I can always go darker. It's much easier to go darker than it is to have to lighten things up. It can be done sort of, but you just be aware. So still working on those shadows in those wrinkles, lifting up with a putty rubber there, because that adds my texture to the skin that I'm after with all the open pores, and it also lifts up some of the unwanted pigment if I've gone a bit too crazy there for the time being. So back down now to the eyebrow again, adding those highlights in the eyebrows again with that embossing tool. It's actually a nail art tool that I'm using. And then back in light to dark in the direction of the hair to add in the eyebrow. So again, back over to the eye. When you're doing eyes or noses or anything on a human face, there are no harsh lines really. Pay attention to how your light's hitting and pay attention to your reference. It's all shading really. There are very few harsh lines. If you do harsh lines all the way around his eye, it's going to look very cartoony, and that's not what you want. So again, soft shadows building up slowly from my HB through to my 4B and back again as needed, and then lifting anything extra that I need out to add texture, or if I need to lighten it up a bit with a putty eraser, also known as a kneaded eraser. So I've just got a small piece of that. I've just made it into a point, and then I'm just dabbing it lightly onto the skin to lift up any graphite that I don't need and don't want. So back through to the forehead now. I dart from place to place because I try and keep balance in my picture. So where I think I've gone darker, when I add another element to the drawing, it might not seem dark enough. So I go back in and darken things up again there. So again, sort of a scribbly motion with my pencil to add in the very light lines underneath his eye, and then you build up those shadows and build up those wrinkles slowly. You don't want any harsh solid lines, because again, that's going to look very cartoony, and in this portrait it's not what I was going for. It's generally not what I'm going for because I'm not particularly good at cartoons. So again, the nose, nice soft shading all the way around it, even where it's darker, you just build up slowly to get the depth in that you need. Paying attention again to your reference photo. The only sharp edges really on the nose are the top of the nostril. So you want a nice clean line at the top of the nostril that blends down into shadows under the nose. But other than that, it's all gentle shading. You don't want anything too harsh. So again, pay attention to the contours of the nose, pay attention to your reference photo, trust your reference photo. Add your shading up slowly, blend it through with a blending stump, and then I'm going through adding all the details. He's got lots of open pores. So I'm slowly adding those in as I go, and then helping add scars and things in his skin texture with a Tombow mono eraser and my Kneaded eraser, and then working shadows back over to that. As I said in my last video, just keep on working until it looks right. So blend, erase, shade, and keep going until you're happy. Use a light hand and keep going until he's looking how you want it to look. I'm using the excess graphite I have on a blending stump to put in my base shade and base shadows first, so I've got a light idea as to where all of those are sitting. Again, just to give me a rough idea of the terrain of his skin. I don't know if that's the word I'm after there. I'm not sure if the skin has a terrain, but you know what I mean. And then just working through those shadows. Lighter wrinkles at the side of his face. So under these eyes here, he's got these very dark laughter lines, but at the very side of his eyes, where the light's hitting them, they're looking a lot lighter. So use a lighter pencil, a lighter hand, but the same principle again. You start off light and you still need to shade out from them, otherwise you're just going to have cartoon lines. So you still need to add a bit of shading, and all wrinkles have a highlight. So pay attention to your reference photo, and most of the highlights on this gentleman's wrinkles were just slightly underneath the crease. Not always, but generally. And use a mono eraser to get those in, and then shade over as appropriate. I actually used an X-Acto knife to cut my mono eraser at a slight angle to give it more of a chiseled edge for this, so that I had a sharper edge to work with to give me a bit more precision. So that's something you can do, but very careful, don't cut yourself. So again, still working on the side here, building up those wrinkles, building up the skin texture, using blending stumps to add shadows if I want something softer to work on. And then again, back in, adding the pock marks and a few more scars to his nose. And paying attention to the direction of the skin as well. Skin has a direction. So pay attention as to how that's running as well. That will help give you form to your face. On the mouth, the centre of his mouth is dark, obviously. His mouth's open, it's dark in there. And the top lip is generally darker than the bottom lip, because it's under the nose, it's where the shadow's hitting. Your bottom lip protrudes a bit more, is a bit bigger. This gentleman also is missing some teeth. He's got 2 teeth showing. Teeth aren't white. Make sure you pay attention to that. Don't leave them white, because it will look very stark and again very cartoony. You need to add some shadow, even if it's just a little bit, just to those teeth to help pull them into where they're supposed to be. Under his nose, this man has some stubble, so light, gentle strokes, small strokes, starting heavy and sort of lifting light, flicking motion in the direction that the hair is growing. Pay attention, it's in clumps and clusters. It is not straight little lines. You'll end up looking like he's got polka dots under his skin, and it's going to look very unreal if you don't pay attention to the direction and you don't sort of do them in clusters. They overlap slightly in places, so just pay attention to where your lights and darks are and to where those clusters are. And you see, slowly build it up, light to dark, and trust your photograph, and it's going to start pulling itself together and looking more realistic. Here I'm just using the embossing tool again, putting the highlights in the beard. He's got a grey beard, so lots of highlights in there. It's a quick and easy cheating way of getting those in before you lay the pencil down. And because the ear is slightly behind that beard and now building up that, please don't ignore things like your ears. You need to put just as much work into your ear as you would into the eye or the nose or anywhere else. Because if you don't, you'll have a fantastic portrait and you'll ruin it by a poorly rendered ear. Again, pay attention to your lights and darks. Where are your darks? Where's the light not hitting? So you've got where your eardrum's going in. It's generally going to be in shadow. It's right in the inner ear and it'll work out, but there is a lot of texture, a lot of shape in the ear. So where's that light hitting? Where's the dark under the lip of the back? I don't know what it's called. Under the lobe, under the top lobe? It's not a lobe, is it? I don't know what it's called, but under that ridge inside your ear, that's going to be slightly darker than hitting areas that are a bit more forward facing. So pay attention to where your highlights are. This gentleman's got an earring. You'll see me put a dot in a minute for that, but there's highlights around it. So pay attention to that as well. Because it goes in, it's dark in the centre and then slightly lighter around the outside, because that's where your light's hitting. I'm now moving on to the hair and the beard. I'm just using an HB pencil here to go in the direction of the hair, over those embossed marks. The pencil won't mark where those embossed marks are, so it's good to start getting your texture in, and then you build up your depth over that. Using darker pencils for your dark hairs, stay in the direction of the hair, and then as you go, you can use your Tombow mono eraser to lift up anything, again in the direction of the hair, any highlights you need, lift it back up in the direction the hair is growing to give you more realistic hair. It's important to make sure you keep your midtones and your highlights and your darks in the hair. It's not just all one colour. So if I just kept it with the HB pencil, it wouldn't look very realistic. I also like to go through with my blending stump as well on the beard to give me a base, as always, as to where my shadows should be, so I know where I'm building from. But just stick with your photo, pay attention to what that's showing you. Your photo's not going to lie, so trust that rather than your own brain. It will show you what this should look like. Working clumps and clusters again, section at a time, and move on, and then build up your darks and build up your midtones. Lift out your highlights as you need it if you've gone a bit too far, paying attention to the direction that the beard is going and the hair is growing. And once you put your beard in, you'll probably need to go back into your face to darken some of the shadows up and to work on some of the texture, because you've got the darks in the beard and that's suddenly going to pull away the shading that you've done to your face. So be aware that just because you think you finished a section, you might always need to go back through just to, like I'm doing there, just to add some more shadows and definitions, make your values right, make everything dark where it needs to be dark. So I'm just prettying up this now, fussing over where my shadows are and where my highlights should be. And that's pretty much it for this guy. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up, and if you're new here, please subscribe. You can also click on the bell icon. That will keep you notified of any new content that I post. For now though, that's it from me. Bye guys!